welcome to the Raw podcast. For our listeners at home, we have Chris Marsh joining us today on the Raw podcast. I've had one too many fireballs, just so you know. My team has been feeding me drinks. I've got some younger staff now, so they've been
Very
giving me a lot of
nice.
drinks. So,
Very
anyways,
nice.
Chris, welcome. I
Thank you.
hope that you are happy to be here because we're happy to have you.
Thank you for having me. This is cool. This is very exciting. Thank you.
Yeah, glad to have you. So when I first met Chris, everybody, I actually met him at church.
Yeah.
And what I remember about Chris is that Chris like blurted out that he thought God was an asshole.
Yep.
And it's very interesting. So Chris, I'm going to start off by asking you, what does authenticity mean to you?
To me, it's just people who are real. If you feel something, or think something, I believe in just saying it. Lately, I've been finding certain people talking to me and trying to tippy-toe around what they really feel or think, and it's like just tell me what it is. Like I'll deal with the emotion after you say it. Like whatever. So being authentic is that's kind of how I look at it in a way. Just being yourself, really. So,
You have quite a story. And for our listeners at home, I do know your story. But if someone was meeting you for the first time, I would love for you to talk about what has been your most raw moment in your life that has brought you to this point in your life and that aha defining moment. And I know there's many moments. So, you know what? In your words, just tell us your story.
sure. So at 17, I'm 44 now. I had brain surgery and a stroke. Um, all of it was sort of by surprise. One night I go to bed. Next morning I wake up and collapse because I had lost mobility in my left side. Again, the brain surgery, two cardiac arrests. So I tell people, yes, I have died and I have come back, kind of like what Jesus did, you know what I mean?
Hmm.
But I just, I think it was at that moment that I felt, uh, depending on what your view is, I always say universe, higher power, God, whatever you want to call it. I do believe in a higher power of some sort. I felt like God was out to get me, out to punish me.
Hmm.
He tortured me by having me get sick, stay in hospital for 2 months. I owe my life to my mom. She stayed with me from day one until I left. She did not leave the hospital, and she had two younger boys at home, my two baby brothers. Um, and just yeah, man, I was so annoyed and agitated and confused. So I got over it. After about a year, I got out of the wheelchair, able to function on my own. Most people wouldn't be able to tell anything was going on with me unless I pointed out and actually show you. They'd be like, "Oh, geez, yeah, you do have that." Um, so yeah, I got over that. I got married, um, and the beginning stages of my marriage, my wife and I found a course. It was a 2.5 day course that we attended in Toronto. And it was in that moment. So this would have been, so 17, so at 27, so 10 years later. Um, uh, all I did in that 10 years was blame. I blamed the doctors because I couldn't keep a job. I have this invisible disability that's stopping me from doing this and this. I blamed them, blamed them, blamed them. I blamed my parents. I attacked my parents. They did nothing wrong but love me. They did nothing wrong. All they did was just love me. And during this course, I came to like this epiphany or this realization that I was so busy blaming the doctors for all the, bad things that they did that I never once thanked them for the biggest thing that they gave me, and that's saving my life. You know.
Because we're stuck in that victim role.
Yeah.
Like, woe is me. Like, how could this happen to me? I'm 17. I've
Yeah.
had a stroke. Like, oh my God. Like, why me? Why not someone else?
Yeah.
Right. So I get that.
Yeah.
So, so you've had this stroke. You're 17. You've had a stroke. And then you go to this, you get married.
Yeah.
You have this beautiful wife.
Yeah.
You go on to have
Two beautiful little girls.
two beautiful girls.
Yeah.
And take us from that point.
Sure. So I had two beautiful little girls, and again, God was not through with me. So one day after work, I come home, and I'll try to make it a little shorter. Like, so my wife ended up passing away. unexpectedly, like without warning. I came home from work. I don't know time. Let's say I come home at 6. All the stuff happened. Hospital, maybe midnight, 1 o'clock in the morning. She was declared dead. Um, so now I go home and I have to explain to our 3-year-old, where mommy is. I want to go see mommy. And oh my God, I'll never forget. Mila's her name. I'll never forget. I'm like, mommy's in heaven now. So, we'll see her one day later on. And she's like, oh man, the innocence of a 3-year-old is so pure. Like she just looked at me like, well, let's just go visit her. Like, let's get, what I mean? Like, let's get in the car. Let's just go. Like, what's the big deal? Um, so yeah, so it was Mila and Celia. Celia was 2.5 months, I believe, at the time.
So you had a 3-year-old and a 2.5-month-old,
Correct.
and you, just like that,
Just like that.
became a single father.
Yeah.
To two very, very young children.
Yes.
Tell me, what was going through your head?
Everything. I gotta say, there was one thing at that time. So Kira and I, we were really into sort of like personal development, understanding life, understanding, the universe at the time, or whatever, God, however. And like I really had to come up with my own conclusions as to why everything was happening. And just like, so I had two choices. I could do what I did, which was doing a lot of self-awareness, a lot of like internal whatever, and understanding life and understanding why I was going through what I was going through. Or I could have went to the nearest pub and just drowned my sorrows away. I love beer, so I would have just, and people would tell me, but you have your daughters, and I'm like, well, I do have my daughters, but at the same time, it's my life, and if I wanted, like, I didn't go that route, but if I wanted to, that's the road I could have gone.
So what made you not go that route?
Um, Honestly, I don't really know. I just know that one of my conclusions is we're all here for a certain amount of time and for a certain reason. This is my truth and what I believe. Like people think I'm like, oh, they almost like fight back. It's like, oh, relax. This is what I believe. You can believe whatever you want, but I believe we're all here for a certain reason and for a certain amount of time. And when we get everything we need to get out of this life, we move on. And I believe that Kira was here and she got what she needed out of this life. And, she moved on. Uh, Part of me wishes, when it comes to death, I don't know what's a good way to go, like if she would have had some sort of tumor or like an illness that
right?
that I'm preparing for, maybe I could have had a better understanding why she passed away, right?
So do you know what was the...
She had a rare virus that affects 1 out of 10,000 people. I always forget the name of it. There's no cure for it. Yeah, it's hard. The doctor told me, and it's been 15 years, and it still hasn't stuck in my head. Like whatever, she had a heart virus.
So how long were you guys actually married?
We were married for about 4 years. We were together in total for about 8.
So your life together was just really, honestly, just beginning,
right?
You
could look at it that way, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, you could totally look at it that way.
So Chris, I have to ask, so you've had a stroke at 17. You fast forward and you're 21, you said, and you're
when Kira passed away,
yeah.
So I would have been 20. She passed away on my 30th year of the, oh my gosh, she passed away in October, the month I was turning 30.
Okay. So you're together, married for 4, together for 8. What happens in that moment to you? How do you not get so bitter at life?
That's a great question. You actually, you sound a lot like my Aunt Linda. One day we were all visiting my parents and she looked at me, she goes, Christopher. My family all calls me Christopher. With everything you have been through, when are you going to snap? And I kind of looked at her and And my immediate reaction to that was, well, what gives me the right to react to that? Like to play the victim or to be, oh, woe is me. And don't get me wrong, I had my moments where I was like that. I'm human. I always do my best to keep it in mind that there is somebody out there in this world going through way worse stuff than I'm going through, and they're making it and they're making a difference. What gives me the right to be, oh, poor Chris? So,
See, and I agree with that. And I have, because a lot of people will say, well, Sabina, your story is horrific, right?
exactly.
But then there's people that are way worse than me. But then I look at it and go, well, in my life, yeah, in your life, it is horrific. So
Yeah.
let's not compare. It's not about a comparison of your story versus my story. Your story is horrific to you.
Yeah.
Right. And I think that once we start owning our stories and stop comparing our stories to others, that's when the true healing starts to happen.
Mhm.
Because you never want to sit there and compare because it's not, it's our life path, right? And you're on
Yes.
your life journey
Yes.
and you're brought into this world to do what you're meant to do. So I think for people that are just listening versus watching and have never met you, I would have to say you are one of the happiest gentlemen I have ever met. You're happy go lucky. You have this jovial way about you. You're a
Yeah.
big hugger. You want to hug
Yes.
people all the time. And I just want to know, like, do you think that's just in you, considering?
I think so. I think
Yeah,
I'm just like I just love helping people,
right.
right? Whether it's holding a door for someone, giving them a hug, telling them they're doing great, you're
Right.
awesome, keep moving forward. I believe God hasn't taken me yet because I still need to be here to help other people.
So let's go back to you're with a 20-month-old, you said, and a 3.5-year-old?
Yeah, yeah, give or
Okay.
take, yeah.
How did you do that?
Once again, my parents, my mom, my dad, they stepped up. When I was feeling down and lost and not knowing what to do at that moment, my mom would take them, you know, keep them overnight till I can kind of whatever. I owe a lot to my family, and I'm very blessed to have a family that I have, like very blessed. When I hear of other, people who basically don't have like the family I have, I guess you could say, I kind of feel for them, because I've been blessed with an amazing life. Yeah.
And we don't actually know because, again, just I didn't have a family that supported me growing up. And when I hear stories like that, I just, again, I'm not the one that's supposed to be crying today, but I just wish, and I look at my life and I think, where could things be if I had that support? And to hear you talk about your mom the way you talk about your mom, just it's a blessing, and I'm glad that you haven't taken that for granted because it's beautiful, and you see that through your daughters now. But so, okay, I hate you right now.
Do you need a hug?
No, I'm good. I'm good. um, let's fast forward to where your life is now,
Yeah, of
and
course.
sort of, that journey of raising your girls and where you are right now.
Sure. So I've remarried. My wife Danielle now. I met her in a time where I wasn't really looking for anything, but I found something. Like one thing I told Danielle when we were first getting together was, like my love for Kira, like I'm always gonna have. She will always have a piece of my heart. Um, that could just never go away, right? Like it's
Mhm.
just we had such a life together. Um, but love is it's infinite.
Mhm.
As much love as you want for someone or multiple people. And the love that I have for Danielle is so unique. The fact that she wanted a relationship with me and I already have, kids and I'm thinking, I'm kind of like baggage, or however you would word it. Uh, it's like, oh man, like I just told her the other day, like oh, I love her so much. Like she took on our daughters. We've added to our family. I'm actually able to produce a boy. I have my son, and then we had another girl. So,
So you've got three girls and a boy.
correct, correct.
Amazing.
And like my kids are my life. Like they are like Mila's our oldest. The day I held Mila in my arms was like, I am not going anywhere. And oh my gosh, the sobbing and crying, like I could, oh, no, I love you so much. You're so, look at this little, like, this is my kid, my daughter. Like,
Oh,
you're mine. Like, I am hands on, showers, baths, bedtime, whatever the case may be. I've always been there and I'm always going to be there. Um, and I think that's just like wired in me.
mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? Like to always be there. They need a hug. I'm there. They need a word of wisdom. Sometimes they don't like the word of wisdom, but they thank me later on. Oh, Dad, you're right. You're right. That's a great idea. You're right. I'm like, oh, I know you should listen to me more often. Or listen to me the first time, then we'll have to go through whatever. But yeah, my kids are my world. Danielle is my world. Like I truly do have an amazing life.
Which is awesome. Which is
Yeah.
so awesome.
Yeah.
Now, if we're going to get raw and real, and how do you go? Because it's not like your marriage with your first wife ended because you decided to. It was taken from you. She
Right.
was taken from you. So you have this beautiful life with her. You love her. And now you've met a new woman.
Yes.
And you just talk about how, you've always explained to Danielle that you still love
Yes.
your ex-wife.
Yes.
I don't even know if that's the proper way of
I
saying it,
don't
right?
know
Like your
anymore.
former, yeah,
Yeah,
I know I don't want to be disrespectful in any
yeah.
way. But how have you coped with that? Like in all honesty, I know we've talked about this a little bit, that it's a different type of love,
Yeah.
but how do you explain that to your current wife? And has that ever been an issue between you guys?
I think she knows how much Danielle. I think Danielle knows how much I love her by not me just saying it, by me showing it. You
Mhm.
know, I don't think there's a day that goes by that I'm not telling her that I love her. I'm not rubbing her back, rubbing her feet, scratching her back. These are things that she loves.
Mhm.
Um, like I say I love her, but I show her I love her. Like, you know, um,
It's easy to say I love you,
it
but
is. It's so easy to
harder
be
to
like, I love
show it.
you, I love
Yeah.
you, but like I go, again, this is all wired in me, and like I know how like delicate life is, right?
Mhm.
And one of my biggest fears, um, is like I said, God's not done with me, and I have a really big fear that you know Danielle or even maybe one of the kids might leave me, and uh, that scares the living crap out.
So how do you rewire that? Like in terms of, how they say what you think about comes about.
Yeah,
So do you try hard not to think? Like, I get it because
yeah.
you've had, awful things happen in your life, but what purpose is that serving to constantly be thinking something's going to happen? Because I'm a firm believer that if you think about it, you can manifest it and you can bring it about. But
Yes.
so it'd be easy for me to sit here and go, just stop it,
Yeah.
Chris. Like,
No, no.
stop thinking like that. But
You're right. You're definitely right. I honestly, I the best way that I can counteract that is just have belief that I'm gonna be here for X amount of they're gonna be here for the rest of my life.
right.
Like, when I'm 80, 90, 155 and I pass on, I go to the greater wherever I'm going, they'll still be here and whatever. I just, uh, yeah, that is a fear of mine, but I also believe it's like, you know how you have like that's it, intrusive thoughts.
Hmm.
I've just recently started learning about intrusive thoughts, and I think that's more or less what it is. Um, and again, knock on wood, something were to happen, I would just, it's gonna sound whatever, I would just deal with it. You know,
Right.
maybe that's like a coping thing of mine because I just things keep happening and I just deal with it. I go with it. I move on. You know,
What else are you gonna do?
right? Because at the end of the day, this is my life,
Hmm.
right? And each one of my kids, that's their own individual life, right? And I can only do so much, but I can't control everything that happens in Danielle's life, you know?
Right.
Like we're all, you, me, we're all on this journey, like as individuals.
100%. 100%. Do you have any regrets in your life?
I think as far as everything that's happened in my life and how I've sort of gone about it, no, because at the time that's how I felt I needed to do it. My only, I think, regret would be like it's more of a personal thing. It's more of not pursuing my own dreams, but that's like a completely separate thing. I
Right.
guess, like, yeah, that's my only. But as far as how I'm raising my kids, you know, how my marriage is going, I don't have any regrets at all.
What are your dreams? Like, what's the dream that you
One
have
of, yeah.
pursued?
Oh gosh, it's like a million. One of my biggest passions is speaking. Whether I'm talking in front of, you know, 5 people or talking in front of 500 or 1,000, I don't care. I love being on a stage, and I love the energy and the feeling of like knowing I'm helping at least one person. Like I said, I've been put on this earth to help people.
Mhm.
Um, that's a dream of mine. Another one is coaching people through their struggles, using what I've been through to hopefully help somebody else.
Mhm.
Um, because, geez, I can relate to people, you know, who are in a wheelchair. I can relate to people who have a sickness. I can relate to people who have lost a significant person in their life. I have so much experience that I believe I can help other people. Actually, I was told when am I going to write my book? I said, well, I don't know. And at first, I thought I'm going to write a book telling people about my story. I'm like,
Mhm.
but as I'm getting older, I'm like, who gives a crap about my story? Because everybody has their own story.
Is
If
that
I'm going to write a
true?
book, I want to write a book that tells people my story, but can help other people. Like, I think that's my thing. Like, I'm just here to help, and I love helping people. Like, it's just,
So what's holding you back? Like, what is it that's not
oh
helping
man,
you fulfill your dream? Like,
that's a fantastic question. I honestly, me,
you're getting in
I'm
your way.
holding myself back. At the end of the day, it's me. I have blamed other people as to because
It's easier to blame
it's
others,
so
right?
easy, isn't it?
Yeah.
Until you realize they have nothing to do with it. It's yourself. And it's like, no, I don't want to look in the mirror and look at that guy
Right.
blocking myself from, you know. But yeah, I love him.
So you're getting in your own way.
Yes.
So why?
Again, these are good questions. These are fantastic because I don't, I don't know. As a matter of fact, I'm getting some coaching with it,
Yeah.
you know,
Nice.
because it's annoying, you know. Like I have so many dreams, so many. So one person that I blamed for not pursuing my dreams was Danielle. I blamed her. Well,
Mhm.
because she's not supporting me and blah, 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 blah. Until one day we're in the car and she seems to be my she's like my client, right?
Right.
She has her whatever, and I must have a way with words. I must have a good idea of how people work. So I'm in a sense coaching her. And
Mhm.
you know, we're driving. She looks at me, she goes, why are you not coaching other people? And that kind of took me by surprise. And I was like, oh, shit, I can't blame you anymore because you're supporting me. Damn it. You know, um, yeah, it's myself. It's all me.
Afraid of failure?
100%.
Yeah.
Yeah. Afraid of failure, afraid that if I pursue my dreams, it might put us into like bankruptcy. I'm gonna lose my kids. Danielle's gonna leave me. I'm gonna end up being. That's actually one of my biggest fears is being alone. Yeah, which is kind of
So
crazy.
if you ask yourself, what's the worst thing that's going to happen? It really might help you because I was the same way. I
Yeah,
was afraid of failing. I was like, nobody's going to listen to my podcast, blah, blah, blah. Nobody's ever going to want to sit on this couch. And then it's like you just do it
yeah,
and you think back and you go, why the heck did I give
yeah,
that so much power? And I got in my own way.
yeah.
And now it's like, honestly, what's the worst thing that can happen?
Exactly.
Like, really? Like, do you really think Danielle's going to leave you? Do you
No,
really think your
no,
kids are like,
no,
you think you're going to be bankrupt? No.
no.
So how are you going to coach someone if you can't even coach yourself?
Yeah, that's.
Because I wouldn't come see you.
Well, thanks.
Sorry, I wouldn't. If you can't coach yourself,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
So,
100%.
yeah.
100%.
So the next time you're on this couch, you're going to be fulfilling your dreams
Yes,
and coming back and going, Sabina, I did it.
a hundred
And I'd be
percent.
like, yeah, you can do it.
And that
Honestly.
and that's all another thing too. Like you, um, so I compare myself to other people,
I think we all do.
which is like the worst thing to do
Hmm.
because it can really put you down. Like I compare myself to, let's say, you, to Ed, to
Hmm.
my wife, to my family, to my brothers, and they're all like high achievers and go-getters and whatever. And I always like, why can't you be like that? Look at that. Look at just they keep going until they achieve what they want to achieve.
But you don't know their story. Like you don't know
A
how
hundred
many
percent.
times we sat in that same
Yeah.
spot as you're in, going, I can't do it, or I'm afraid of this. So you know what? Comparing yourself to someone else is just useless because
Yeah.
you don't know what's behind everybody's story and what has driven them to that point. You don't know if they've gone through bankruptcy and lost their wife or all the fears that you have.
Yeah.
You don't know what they've had. You just look at that end result, right? And
Yeah.
go, yeah, because I'm sure there's many people, we haven't touched on this yet, but I think that for the viewers at home, Chris has lost over 100 pounds,
Yeah.
right? That's a huge achievement in itself. So
Yeah.
let's talk about that for a
Sure.
minute.
5 years going strong. I ended up having two major back surgeries in 2017. And the first, I had a herniated disc. Again, it was emergency surgery, like it had to be done right away. And at that time, I was already tipping the scales. I could barely get in the MRI machine. Like I had to put one arm up and one arm down so they can get me into the machine because I was already, I think I was like 315, 320 at least. Um, and had the surgery. And then 3 months later, had a second one and hit, I guess, like major depression of some sort because I couldn't function. I couldn't be even the parent that I wanted to be. I just said I'm a hands-on dad. I couldn't be a hands-on dad, which was like breaking my heart. Like I don't know what it is, but whenever I'm unable to help with the family and like all the responsibilities like on Danielle, my heart breaks. Like I'm like like I'm supposed to be helping. I'm not supposed to be recovering from a surgery. This isn't, you know. So and I think a year went by. I don't even know again time. Um, and I had a doctor's appointment. Actually just switched to a new doctor, and we're chatting. He's great, great man, great words of wisdom. And he said, Chris, would you rather continue gaining weight and have chronic back pain, or lose 100 pounds and have chronic back pain? And I'm like, I'd love to lose 100 pounds. So I'm thinking, we're going to have this magical moment. The heavens are going to open. He's going to tell me this, like, this secret that nobody else knows. And I'm just anticipating this thing. And he looks at me and goes, then lose 100 pounds. And I'm literally getting the feeling right now. Like, and I'm just like, that's it? Yeah, lose 100 pounds. Okay, guess I'm gonna go lose 100 pounds. Now I procrastinate a lot, so I didn't jump on it right away. I waited a little longer, and then I found a program, and I've done a million programs, and I was always able to lose weight, but
Mm-hmm.
then just gain it all back, and a little bit more always. But this time around, I said, you know what? I'm gonna lose the weight, and I'm gonna use their products, but I'm gonna really work on my head. Because that's where the problem for me, I can't speak
Mm-hmm.
for the problem is all in my head. It's my mindset around food, my mindset on, you know, the whole nutrition aspect of everything. So that's what I did. I started doing things like, um, like if we went to a birthday, I'd bring my own dinner with me. Bring my own dinner everywhere I go, pretty much everywhere I go, unless I know what the person's serving.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I'll bring my own dinner, and let's just say I'm going to a birthday party and they're all having pizza and cake. I love pizza. I would literally tell myself, Chris, you don't need the pizza. You know what it tastes like. You know how good it is. The smell is, you could taste the smell. You're not missing out on anything, buddy. You know what the cake is like. It's good. You know that already. You're not missing out. It's not something new. You don't
Mm-hmm.
need to try it. You don't need to have a bite. You're good. And that's what I would tell myself over and over and over again. I would do a lot of little things like, making the kids a peanut butter and jam sandwich. And sometimes you get peanut butter on your finger or whatever. You just lick it off, right? No big
Mm-hmm.
deal. I would wipe it off. I would start doing little tiny things. I would wipe that off. I would con- constantly do a mental thing. And I think it's got to the point where Danielle says, you make this look way too easy. And I'm like, easy? Are you kidding me? This is like a lot of, like, I'm almost tired,
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, so I went, before I started losing the weight, I got up to 340 pounds. And now I'm down to, I think, about 215, 220.
Good for you.
So, and yeah, like I said, it's been 4 or 5 years. So,
Is there anything that you miss? Like,
I love to eat.
mm-hmm.
Coming from a European background, food is like abundant.
Mm-hmm.
You go to my mom's house, or I keep saying my mom, my parents' place, and like when my mom's like serving, it's like you don't just get like a little, you get a meal. Like, prepare yourself. You're gonna need to, undo your top pant, whatever, because you're gonna need the room.
Right.
Um, and yeah, it was abundant. Um, but yeah, a lot of work, and that's another area that, like, man, I have so much, you know, like
Yeah.
people need help losing weight. I've done it. I've been there. Fat Chris always tries to come back. He's always knocking on the door, but I always tell him to go sit in the corner and piss off, So
Well, good for you. Good for you. Great job. Um, one word to describe you.
sure.
What would it be?
Someone called me resilient.
I think that's fitting.
It doesn't fully sit well with me, and I don't even know why. It makes sense. I get that. Maybe it's the lack of not taking a compliment.
What would be a word like that's someone else saying that you're resilient, but what would be your word to describe yourself?
2 words.
Two words.
Not enough.
Really?
Yeah, enough is my word that I just recently sort of picked up. That these are things that I tell myself. We all have that negative chatter that happens in my
Mm-hmm.
head. Yeah, the negative chatter is you're not enough, you're not good enough, you're not smart enough, you're not fit enough, you're not driven enough. Like these are, yeah, enough. Enough. So I was watching, I think, a reel or something, and it was pretty good. I should have saved it, but I didn't. And it was a lady saying, "You're enough. You do enough." It was almost like she was literally
Talking to
talking to me. I was like, God damn it, you're right. I am enough. So at that point, I'd like, it's like I'm literally having a conversation in my head. Anyways, it was like, first off, dude, find something new because it's getting boring.
mm-hmm.
Like the chatter is boring because it's the exact same thing over and over and over again. Um, that I'm literally getting bored. But just to answer your question, enough was the thing that keeps
Popping up.
popping up. So, but I have a feeling it's going to be fizzling out soon.
Good. It's a process, right?
It is.
The negative chat eventually has
Yes.
to stop. So, if you could bring every single person that you've ever met, dead or alive, and you could bring them all into one room and you could only look for one person, who would you look for?
Dead or alive? The first person I'd be looking for is Danielle.
Not your former wife.
No. So when Kira died, and I think this is probably why. So when Kira died, shortly after, I had this dream that was so real. Like sitting on this couch was my dream. So we had a couch similar to this, and it was against the wall. And I was sitting like this, and she was where you were. And in my dream, I'm crying and I'm pleading with her, we have to get you to the hospital. Like, now she's already dead. I said, something's going to happen. You don't understand. We need to go. I need to get you to the hospital right away. Like something bad is going to happen. Like I'm trying to plead with her to go. And I'm sitting there, she's just sitting there and she's smiling. The biggest smile, just smiling away and looking at me and smiling. And when I woke up, it sort of like dawned on me, like, you know, she's happy. Wherever she is, she's happy. Whether that's true or not, that's going to be my truth, because it was so, like, I'm getting chills everywhere. It was so real. And it's the craziest thing, when something, traumatic happens like that, you for me, finding the reasons why things could happen and coming up with your own sort of belief, like that dream, like she's happy, she's safe. My thought of, she was here for maybe she had to come here to have two daughters and then parent her two daughters from a distance. These are, little beliefs that I have. Or maybe she had to, be our guide, be their guide, right? Again, whether it's true or not, I don't know, but it feels good to me. It resonates deeply in my heart. So that's kind of what I believe. And then now that I'm sort of talking to God a lot more, it feels better knowing I do believe she's in a heaven, if that's what it is. And to me, this heaven is like, there is no ego, right? Everybody's just happy.
It's beautiful. In closing,
yeah,
do you think God's still an asshole?
No,
Yeah.
not at all. That's funny though. No, I can actually say the word God without cringing and feeling gross and, angry and bitter. God is always working. God is always, always, always working. People will be out there praying and they think God only works when you pray to them. It's like, no, that's not how it works. God is always there, always doing something, maybe God needs to take Kira because Danielle needs to come into my life, our life, right? Maybe God hasn't taken me because I still need to be here to fulfill a higher purpose. This right here, this is exactly, I say this to her, this is exactly where we need to be, right here in this conversation.
100%.
Right? It's
I
like
don't know how many people you're going to be helping just with sharing your story in this moment. So thank you so much for being here, Chris. Really enjoyed our time together. And I look forward to the next time when you're a full-on coach, coaching people and you have the confidence. So that was awesome.
Thank you, Sabina.